Hey guys, what is up? It is me, Pagey, here once again with another video on The Flash Season 9. And this is going to be my review for Episode 3 for this season, otherwise entitled Rogues of War. But of course, before we get into the rest of the video, if you've not watched the episode, go away. What are you doing? Spoiler alert, because we're going to be going over everything that happened in this episode, especially the stuff towards the end, which sort of heats up the heater. Heats up the fryer, whatever you want to call it. Stuff's cooking now, finally. But yeah, if you are continuing on, let me know in the comment section down below your various thoughts on this episode, any theories and stuff. Moving forward, always curious to read what you guys are thinking. And of course, if you're going to enjoy the video, want to show support, everything like that, want to drop a like on the video to show support and everything like that. Now, last episode, of course, focused on Keone, or the new character that Danielle Pennebaker is playing, with Frost and Caitlin confirmed dead for now. I think Caitlin's going to be back by the series finale, but dead for now, for whatever time that might be. With it appearing that this character has like elemental, sort of empathetic, weird weather powers or something, which isn't really explored overly more in this episode outside of like one scene. But then, of course, we had the introduction of a new post-crisis Riddler who was taking on Pied Piper in order to get his gauntlets, which Red Death was going to use, which we do see at the end of the episode being used. So it sort of like aligns Red Death's frequency to this Earth and I guess this time period, so they're not all blurry and everything like they were previously. With Red Death also vowing revenge and vengeance on Central City, and mainly the Flash, because apparently the Flash disgraced them at some point, which isn't revealed in this episode, so I guess we'll wait until episode 4 or 5 to find that out. Now, this episode as a whole is a weird one. I think it's the best episode we've had so far this season. I think it's honestly clearly the best episode, though it was probably the most frustrating, and you'll understand why. And that's not me like hating, because I'm not. I still like the episode. It's just one of those things where I was like halfway through and I was wondering, what's going on? Because this episode had some fun character interactions with all the, the meme team, as people have been calling them, and I'll go along with that, the meme team, even when they were interacting with the rogues as well. Fun character interactions, and I think it was also decent back and forth writing for those characters. But it also felt like there was a lot of procrastination and moving the story forward. And it was like, a couple of people asked me on Twitter, like, what's wrong with it? And I'm like, it feels like they're stuck in the mud. And that's probably the best way to put it. And it didn't start getting, like, the ball didn't start getting rolling, for this episode until like the final 10, 15 minutes, when it should have been the other way around. The opening 10 minutes should have been set up and the rest should have been, play on. But it felt like they were procrastinating for whatever reason there is. And now there's only 2 episodes left in this Red Death story, where they have to do a lot. So hopefully in the next 2 episodes, a lot does happen. But we do start the episode off at Corbin Taft Industries, where Fiddler and Boomerang are stealing more material for Red Death, but they are joined by a new rogue in the form of Murmur, who Boomerang refers to as Amar. Now, this is the last name of Murmur we had seen in the comics, but also on Arrow, he was Michael Amar. But now post-Crisis, this is like a younger version and also female, and they use like sign language. There was a weird sequence in this episode where it's like 30 seconds of just Murmur and Pied Piper going back and forth with ASL or sign language. And I was like, okay, I understand wanting to be like progressive and inclusive, but I felt like that was just, it was like nothing. It was a bit awkward. I felt like maybe they should have had that a Murmur could read lips, so Pied Piper could just speak, because it was just back and forth. I understand wanting to be like inclusive and everything like that, but to me that felt too long. And especially in an episode where they were, in my opinion, like stuck in the mud and procrastinating, moving the story forward, that didn't really help. But it was just while we're talking about Miriam, I thought it'd be the time to bring up that scene, which I thought was a bit weird. I don't know if that was the only one. But Barry does connect the dots that, all this stuff that's being stolen, he realizes that the rogues are taking the components to actually build a cosmic treadmill. Now, this is the time machine that is being built. However, they are one vital piece away from finishing the job. Now, Pied Piper knows where this vital piece could be, which is in a government facility. And you would think maybe like a national hero like the Flash will be able to, talk and swagger his way into protecting that piece even better. But unfortunately, we got General Eiling from season 1, and the Flash's rocky relationship with him does not really help the situation and sort of throws that option out the window. So Pied Piper actually offers a pretty interesting option, and just beat the people to steal it first, outsteal the rogues. Now, the government facility was known as Fort Lucia. I think it was like an acronym, Lucia. I don't know what it stood for, but it has a dampener that is powered by 4 individual and unique generators, Did I say that weird? I'm not too sure. That need to be taken down simultaneously. So Barry needs a team, but it's not going to be a team of, come over Wally West, come over Supergirl, Superman, fly on down. It has to be a team of criminals to make this work, which really, it didn't really. When you look at the episode, it didn't have to be a team of criminals. If anything, the team of criminals made it even more difficult to make things, to get the ball rolling in this episode. But they decided to go down the route of making a team of criminals, I guess. And we do get like the Hotness, Chillblain, and Goldface being recruited in like a somewhat quick montage of sorts, but unfortunately, the rogues know exactly what Barry's up to. So, of course, due to this, Red Death knows as well. Now, I did think the back and forth between the villains or the criminals, whichever way you want to put it, was pretty funny. I mean, and the fact that Barry had to hide the fact he was the Flash, mainly to Goldface for most of the episode, I thought was pretty funny as well. But I don't think Barry realized that working with a bunch of criminals would be so difficult. But I did think it was super weird how Hartley or Pied Piper was in line with the other villains as quickly as he was, saying, like, you know, almost acting like they were. But I guess they had to, probably one of the rare instances in this episode, had to move the story along, so I can somewhat understand Hartley acting like that. Now, Barry and the meme team begin their heist on Fort Lucia and take out the damper generators, the damper generators, which allows Barry to get the tech, but he's actually betrayed by Chillblain, which I actually didn't see coming, to be completely honest, so that caught me off guard, which was a good surprise. And he's actually working for Red Death, who gets away with the tech, and though Barry's able to catch up when he gets his speed back and take the meme team out with him, Red Death does intervene in a pretty cool scene. I mean, I think like... at first I couldn't see Red Death, but then you could see through the smoke like the bat symbol, and the lighting was pretty cool, especially when like Red Death like knelt down or kneeled down next to Barry. You could see like the light from the symbol on Barry's face, which I thought was pretty cool. And of course, this gives Barry quite the scare, because it's not just that, you know, there's another villain here, but the negative speed force is back, and Barry's just wondering, are they the avatar of the negative speed force as well? With Barry actually asking the meme team to stick around and help with him, with the rogues mainly, but just this whole Red Death stuff that's going on. Now, throughout the episode, we do have Iris sort of being like I don't want to say desperate, but just really pushing to get this big story, this big break in her journalistic career, and push towards these Pulitzer Prizes that she's meant to be getting in the future, which is thanks to some spoilers from a certain someone with a MacBook. But there is actually this connection in Gotham that's brought up to help with the tech that the rogues are using, which ends up being Luke Fox, and he actually reveals it is connected to advanced Wayne tech, with it also being revealed that Batwoman has been missing from Gotham for a couple of weeks. So we have this mysterious speedster who's been in town, you know, working on certain things, gathering stuff, but around the same time, Batwoman went missing. Now, obviously, this is being set up to be like a, you know, who is who sort of situation, which we'll discuss in a second. But, you know, I think the thing that wasn't brought up is like, we still haven't had it clear how they know that Ryan Wilder is Batwoman. Like, I'm assuming that with the Hall of Justice has been updates and stuff like that, but we still don't know if that Batwoman has ever interacted with anyone else. That's still yet to be been established. So hopefully that happens next week, because I thought it was going to happen in that scene and it got glossed over, which I was sort of surprised by. But the end scene is Chillblain with the rogues, who, you know, he just wants his reward in return for helping them so he can sort of move along and try and get Frost back. But Red Death decides to, you know, change the plans and keep Chillblain pinned into helping as long as he is needed. With Red Death actually revealing themselves as Ryan Wilder. Wow, shocker. I mean, no one knew this. Of course, everyone that has a computer probably knew that this was the reveal. So it's a bit disappointing because it might have been a cool reveal. And also the question mark would have been, well, hold on, was that meant to be the Ryan Wilder that disappeared from Gotham who was Batwoman, or is this someone else? It's still hard to tell, but this version does look different. Obviously, there's like a white sort of streak going up there, and like some makeup, and I'm not too sure. I thought the I'm Vengeance line didn't work. I thought it was a bit cringe, to be completely honest, but maybe I might have to watch the episode back, because I was more concerned at the fact that like Red Death, like Chillblain was this tall, and then all of a sudden when she gets closer, it turns into this. I'm sure Chillblain might have been like, you know, cowering in fear or something, but I was like, what the hell's going here? Is she on like an elevator or something like that? She grew like, I know, like 2 feet in 2 seconds. But yeah, not a big shock. Unfortunately, this was spoiled everywhere, not even just from set photos. Even when they pretty much announced the character, they spoiled it. And even in like the previous episodes, they played the Batwoman music. So it'll be interesting to see how everything plays out. But yeah, not too much there. But yeah, overall, as I said, this episode I think is still the best episode this season has had. I know only in episode 3, and the first 2 weren't anything to, you know, set a massive precedence, might I say. But it was still a decent episode, a solid episode. I'd probably give it like I don't like doing ratings, but I've said the previous 2 were probably like on average like a 7 if you put them together. So this is probably like a 7.5, 8. I'll probably say 7.5. I just hope that the ball really starts rolling next week. Because as I said, I felt there's a lot of procrastination. I felt like it was stuck in the mud, stuck in traffic, whichever way you want to put it. And now this last like 10 minutes really got the ball rolling. Like the last 10 minutes of this episode I thought were really good. And sort of like elevated the score from what came before, even though that was decent. It just felt like we were stuck in the mud. So hopefully the momentum from this last like 10 minutes, of this episode roughly, push into these final 2 episodes because it needs it. Otherwise this storyline won't be very good in retrospect. So hopefully these final 2 episodes, which are both called The Mask of the Red Death and then like part 1, part 2, hopefully that's a good ending to this storyline. And there's a lot of stuff happening, but that's a wait and see. We'll find out next week how hopefully that's going to go. But yeah, guys, thanks for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, it'd be awesome. You could drop a like on it to show support. Let me know in the comment section down below your various opinions on this episode. You love it, did you hate it, favorite parts, least favorite parts, any theories and predictions moving forward. Always curious to read what you guys are thinking. And of course, if you are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe and I will catch you guys later. Goodbye.